All right, so NBA first round of the draft. It's done now. Let's talk about it. Now, I'm not going to sit here and pretend to be some draft expert because for this draft, I'm most definitely not one. I don't know who half these people are. I saw the Knicks pick and I looked at it and I said, huh? Like, I literally did like what my dogs do when they get confused. I hit them with the, huh? More than half these names I probably cannot pronounce. So let me tell you right now, don't think that this is I'm gonna be telling you which picks are gonna be a bust, which picks aren't. But I am gonna tell you some things about some picks that I like, some picks that I don't like, based on the few players that I do know and what I personally think a lot of these teams need. And there was also some big things that happened today that weren't in the draft. And the one thing that I'm gonna talk about right now that wasn't a part of the draft, that happened today, the big thing, OG Anunoby shocked me because I could have sworn a report came out that was talking about he intended to go into free agency, but he re-signed with the Knicks, 5 year, $212.5 million. And I guess they can deal with paying him 212.5 over 5 years when you're paying Mikal Bridges and Jalen Brunson a combined less than 50 mil per year. Well, if you go look at the Suns, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal all making about 50 mil next year. They're paying two of their best players combined less than 50 mil next year. Now I'm confused about the rotation, what the rotation is going to be. I still think New York needs a better big man. I still want to see if they do search around for some Julius Randle trades. But right now, the starting lineup, if I had to guess, it would be obviously Jalen Brunson. Would they put Mikal at the two? OG at the three, Julius at the four, Mitchell Robinson or Isaiah Hartenstein at the five, whichever. That's what I would assume. And then you have Dante DiVincenzo coming off the bench, which is a great six man, especially coming off the year that he just had. And then you still got you still have Isaiah Hartenstein off the bench if you keep him, assuming you do get him. And then you would still have Deuce McBride, I believe. Like I said, I'm still not 100% sure if he's a free agent or not. I haven't done the research I need to do on that. But that was the one thing that happened today besides the draft that I did want to make sure that I spoke about like actually took the time to talk about in this video. First pick, no surprise to anyone, I don't think. I think we all kind of knew after, especially after Alex Sarr said that he wanted to be in, or kind of not said, but like didn't really want to work out with the Hawks, wanted to be in Washington over Atlanta. So none of us are really surprised that Zachary Richardson went first. Now, this is one of those years where I don't think the draft is very good. Now, there's always going to be some guys that are going to stand out. There's always going to be some guys that we look back in 5, 10 years from now, we're going to say, oh, that guy ended up being great. That guy ended up being way better than we ever would have thought. I don't think it's going to be this guy. Not because I think he's a bum or anything like that. It's just a 3-and-D guy that's described as a 3-and-D role player going number one. I feel like that's a very high floor, low ceiling type of player. Like, I feel like that's one of those, is it? I kind of want to say low floor, low ceiling, but that's hate though, because I haven't ever watched him play, so that would be hateful for me to just say that. That would be so dumb. So I'm gonna actually just say this is one of those guys. I think a lot of these picks are low ceiling, high floor type of guys, where it's like these are going to be guys that you might look at as solid players in the next 5, 10 years for a lot of these guys that are coming out in this draft, but they're not going to be. You aren't going to find like this is going to end up being one of those drafts. If I had to guess, that's going to be like, oh, the '84 draft, the '96 draft, the '03 draft, the 2018 draft. It's not going to be one of those drafts. Let me tell you right now today. So Zachary Richardson goes first to the Hawks. I believe either Trae Young or DeJounte Murray, and possibly even both, will be gone before the season starts, and definitely by the trade deadline. So we'll see what they do there. I want to see what they do with Clint Capella too. The Hawks just have a lot of questions right now. Trae Young, if you look at the numbers, he is exponentially better before the DeJounte Murray trade, and when DeJounte Murray's off the court, he's exponentially better, but then DeJounte Murray was also far better when Trae Young was hurt last year. So it's obvious they can't work together. One of them, if not both, has to go. Number 2 pick, Alex Sarr. Oh, and speaking of the Wizards, Alex Sarr went to the Wizards, by the way, with the number 2 pick. They also just traded for Malcolm Brogdon. They traded, I think it was Denny Advia, something like that, for Malcolm Brogdon. I mean, if I'm Malcolm Brogdon, I'm pissed. I went from Portland, which is a bad situation, and just 3,000 miles away to Washington, D.C., which is another bad situation. I'd probably rather be in Portland, to be honest. I think they have a more promising future than Washington does. But what do I know? I also haven't seen Alex Sarr play. Don't know what he's going to be. Power forward, center. They need some bigs over there. They need everything, to be real with you. Like, whatever the best player available was, they should have just got him, and I'm assuming that's what they just did. So, good for you, I guess. At least you finally were in the top, 2 picks in the draft, and you weren't sitting around 4 or 5 like you normally are, all right? Number 3, Reed Shepherd to Houston. Now, I have some interesting. I'm trying to figure out what direction Houston's going to go in, because somebody's going to get traded if they're trying to go for Kevin Durant. 1 or 2 of the pieces that are currently on this team is gone. So I think this Reed Shepherd draft pick could be a pick that ends up being big because of the fact that I feel like they're going to lose one of their key pieces if they do want to trade for Kevin Durant. They're going to lose some guys. So I don't know if they're looking to trade Cam Whitmore or not. I think he has a lot of potential. They're not going to trade Amin Thompson, I don't think. I mean, it's Kevin Durant, but I don't think they would trade him. They would probably trade. Can I speak? They would probably trade. They would 100% trade Jabari Smith. They would 100% trade Jalen Green if I had to guess. I don't think they would trade LP. I don't think they would trade. I don't think they would trade. Is my brain working? Oh, and Amin Thompson. Those are the two pieces that I think Houston won't trade right now. But I personally am not super high on LP, so I think I'd rather trade LP. If it's for Kevin Durant, I would trade LP and I wouldn't think twice about it. But I know the money has to match, so there's probably going to have to be a Fred VanVleet in that trade or something like that, which is probably why they got Reed Shepherd. I don't think Reed Shepherd's as good as a lot of people think he does. I know the measurables and the stats and everything like that from the combine were great. I don't think he's going to be super great, but I also don't think he's a bum. I don't know. We'll see. Like most of these picks in this draft, I think a lot of people are looking at and we're kind of just saying, we'll see. San Antonio got Stephon Castle. This is a good pick, but San Antonio did one thing later that we're going to talk about that I think was very dumb. They got Stephon Castle, who's a shooting guard. I'm assuming he'll probably end up playing some point guard for San Antonio. I think I think this is the guy that said he actually ended up wanting to play point guard. Like he wanted to be kind of a lead guard type of guy, which, San Antonio needs everything. I expect them to trade like a Trey Jones probably this season. I expect them to trade Keldon Johnson probably. I expect them to try to go get someone else. They might go try to get DeJounte back. They might go try to get a Trey Young. They might try to get some of these guys. I think they have a lot that they need. Stephon Castle as a point guard, shooting guard for them is big. They need some guard play, even though I know they have Devin Vassell. They need some good guards that can consistently get the ball to Wemby, that can score outside of Wemby. They need some guys. They just need a lot. They need a lot. Detroit Pistons, Ron Holland. Boy, Detroit. I think Ron Holland's pretty good, but boy, Detroit. If you have a starting lineup next year of Cade Cunningham, which I think is a good player, Jaden Ivey, who I think has been used significant. I think if he had gone to a better team, like a team that, not even a better team, just a team with better development staff, with a more consistent, better organization that was bad. If he had gone to a team like the Spurs or something, where it's an organization that's been historically good, or an organization that we respect, instead of an organization like the Pistons, where it's like we don't respect them for the last decade or two. Well, not two, because they won a ring in 2004, 2005, something like that. But so not two, but the last decade we haven't really respected the Pistons too much. Like the Drummond was there, Blake Griffin was there. Blake Griffin had that one great season for them. Let me tell you right now, back to the point, because I'm yapping. If they have a starting lineup that consists of Cunningham, Jaden Ivey, Ron Holland, Jalen Duren at the 5, and then what? Like, I don't even know. Like Asar Thompson, maybe? I don't know who they would put at the. Asar Thompson might move to the bench. I don't know what they're going to do. There isn't going to be a lick of shooting on the current Detroit Pistons squad. Boy, they better go get Tobias Harris. They better go throw the bag at some of these guys that just to get some type of shooting. Because let me tell you, they about to be throwing up bricks. The memes I've been seeing on Twitter, that in the press conference when Jason Tatum and the thing fell over his head and he was like ducking like this. Yeah, that's how that's about to be, because they about to be shooting bricks over there in Detroit. Another season where Detroit was like one of the worst teams in the league. To me, the worst team in the league. To most people, the worst team in the league, even though I think they had the same record as the Spurs. And then they end up getting the 5th pick. And it's like, we really just did all that just to get the 5th pick. Like, we couldn't have won a few more games if we were just going to end up with the 5th pick anyway. Like, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of it, because I don't know, bro. I'm not a big fan of anything Detroit's been doing recently. Like, I wasn't a big fan of the Monty Williams making him the highest paid coach at the time. I wasn't a big fan of the firing, because you have to pay his salary anyway. And I think you're still paying your last coach's salary, who I can't remember. Was that Dwayne Casey? I can't remember. But, anyways, Charlotte Hornets. Lord knows I'm not about to try to pronounce this name. I'm going to try anyway. Tajane Salon, power forward. I don't know anything about him, to be honest with you. And a lot of the mock drafts I was looking at, I didn't see him this high at all. Matter of fact, now that I'm thinking about it, I never have seen this guy appear in the top. Okay, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure he's only 18 years old, so he probably has a lot of potential. I don't know. The Hornets need a lot. I'm not high on Miles Bridges as a person or as a player, but, praying for him. I'm not high on. I'm a big fan of Mark Williams, but I'm not super high on him either. Like, I don't think he's gonna be great or anything, but I am a fan of Mark Williams. LaMelo Ball's always hurt. Like, they have a lot of problems over there in Charlotte. I'm not big on Grant Williams. I think he's bad. I don't know if you're they got a 4, so he can. I don't know. I've never seen him this high. I'm honestly surprised. I remember when I saw this pick announced, because I was playing 2K and I saw like the ESPN notification come up on my phone, and I said, who? And then I'm looking at it again and I'm remembering. I'm like, yeah, who? Like, I don't know, but prayers up for him. I hope the best happens to him. I hope he ends up being a great fit with LaMelo and all them. Donovan Clingan to the Portland Trail Blazers. Now, Donovan Clingan is a guy that I think a lot of teams could use because I think there's a lot of teams that could use just a big man, just like a massively sized pause big man. Like he's like 7'2", 300 pounds, and I think he has like a 7'9", 7'8", 7'7", something like that wingspan. So he's just like he's a big man. Like he's a genuine big man. Pause again because I know the internet, but I think he's a guy that has the potential to be a great defender. I'm not high on DeAndre Ayton. I don't think anybody has been high on DeAndre Ayton for like the last 2-3 years. So I like this pick. A lot of teams could have used him, so I'm a big fan of this pick, to be real with you. Now, this 8th pick, Lord San Antonio, Lord, please, Lord, give me the strength. You traded Rob Dillingham for a 2023 first round, a 2031 first round pick. Brother, 2031, what is that, like a 5th grader right now? Is that an elementary school student right now? Is that a middle schooler right now? You traded Rob Dillingham for that? Could you imagine if Rob Dillingham becomes what a lot of people think he could become, and then you missed out on that to pair with Wemby? Oh, you better pray he don't become you better pray Stephon Castle ends up being better than him, because if you... great trade for Minnesota. Great trade for Minnesota. They needed more guard play. We love Mike Conley, but he's getting older. He's going to retire soon. They needed more guard play. They have a lot of problems over there. I think they should still explore trading Cat away, especially with the way that Naz Reid looked in the playoffs. I think he looked very good. I think they should explore trading Cat away with that cap spaces they have. Whoever the owner is going to be next year, we don't even know, but whoever it is, I think they should explore Cat trades. I'm a big fan of this trade for Minnesota. Big fan of this trade. I think some people were like rating it at like a B or something. If I'm Minnesota, A-. You got me mixed up. Zach Edey went 9. Memphis needed a big man because Jaren Jackson don't rebound the ball. Steven Adams is hurt a lot, and Steven Adams is also getting older. I think he's only like 30, which is surprising because I feel like Steven Adams has been in the league my whole life. But he's only like 30. I get that, but like you do need a bigger, more consistent rebounding big man. He's 7'4", 300 pounds. I get that, but the 9th pick, he goes that high. I thought Zach Edey was going to fall like outside the lottery. I'm not going to hold you. I thought he was going to be like a guy that the Lakers might look at getting. I thought he was going to be like a guy that the Warriors try to get. I don't even know if the Warriors had a first-round pick. I should be saying stuff. I thought he was going to be a guy like, I don't know, but like, I didn't see him going this high. 9, gang? I mean, you need a big, but 9? I mean, I guess you couldn't get Donovan Clingan, so like you did settle for like who you think is probably the second best big available, if that's who you think the second best big available is. I don't know. Utah, Cody Williams. I don't know a lot about Cody Williams. I know he's J-Dub's little brother. I understand that. If you're Utah, you need a lot. Like I think this is a good pick at 10. I think he is a guy with a lot of upside. Like I think he has more upside than a lot of people in this draft, but I also think he has a pretty low floor. But I think for number 10, for the 10th pick, I think, but he's not a shooter though. That's the problem for me. Is like if you're gonna play 3-4 in this league, you kind of need shooters with the way that the league is right now. And if you're not gonna do that, you kind of need a great defender. And I think he's a good wing defender. I'm not sure how he's going to be. I'm not sure he's really going to be guarding fours. Like I think he's going to be one of those guys that's like not comparing him to Jaden McDaniels, but like will play like that type of role where he's defending more of the guys that are like wings and guards. He's not going to be defending bigs, I don't think. That's just my opinion because he's just a skinnier guy if you ask me. But yeah, not a bad pick if you're Utah. There's a lot that Utah needs. Chicago Bulls, Matas Buzelas, small forward shooting guard. I'm not mad at this pick, but like, to me, he plays more like a guard than a forward. So if you're Chicago, you just added another guard. This tells me that you have to be trading Zach LaVine, right? Like you have to be. You have to be, right? Like you have to be. Because like there's no way you just added another guard. You still don't know what you're doing with Vucevic, clearly. You still haven't accepted a Zach LaVine trade. You still don't know what you're doing with DeRozan. We don't even know what's going on with Lonzo Ball. Huh? And I saw a report come out today talking about somebody within the Bulls organization thinks that Zach LaVine and Josh Giddey are a good fit together. Boy, if you don't accept one of them 15 reported trade offers you got for Zach LaVine, I don't care if it's for a box of cookies. You cannot. I'm not even a Bulls fan. You cannot bring back the same team for what, the 5th year in a row, brother. And then what did you just added more guards to like I don't. You still haven't figured out the Patrick Williams thing either. Will a team like Charlotte go offer him, and then you have to decide whether you're going to match it or not for $20 million with a guy that's shown you that he is not worth the 4th pick that you got him for? Okay. OKC, Nikola Topic, I don't know much about him either, but again, it adds another guard for them. If he can be a good point guard for them off the bench, that'll take a lot of the load off Shea, and they need depth, so I'm not mad at this pick at all. Sacramento Kings, Devin Carter, I don't know a lot about him, but I think the Kings, I don't know. This tells me that Davion Mitchell might not be getting a lot of run next season, which is okay. And we know that Malik Monk just re-signed. Or this tells me that maybe they're going to trade a guy like Kevin Huerter. Never know. So we'll see. I think it's for him going 13 because I'm pretty sure Devin Carter's like a really like a forward guard, like a 6'2", I think 6'2", 6'3" combo guard. He's athletic. I know that about him. I don't know. I just feel like this is a good pick at 13 for Sacramento. So like this to me, I don't know. They have a lot of guards too, but this to me is a good pick for Sacramento. Especially because what's his face showed a lot of great deep. Keon Ellis showed some. I think that's who it was. Keon Ellis showed some promise in that play-in game. So I don't know. They have a lot of guards too, but we'll see what happens with them. Washington Wizards got a pick via the Blazers. They got Carlton Carrington from Pittsburgh. I think he's a good player too. He's not even 19. Like he's literally 18 years old. I think to get an 18-year-old with this much potential at 14, you got to take the risk if you're the Wizards. You got nothing to lose. You're already a terrible franchise. Like historically, we don't. You know what I'm saying? Like if it wasn't for Wes Unseld, like you would really be a terrible franchise historically. Like you'd be down there with the Hornets if it wasn't for Wes Unseld and John Wall and Bradley Beal and them. So have nothing to lose. It's not like you have it. It's not like you have a lot of stock in any of the guys you have now. Like Bilal, I like him. I like his defense. Jordan Poole just had a terrible season. You don't have any faith in Kyle Kuzma. I'm surprised he hasn't been traded yet. I don't know. Like you're to me, if you're a Washington Wizards fan, you shouldn't be attached to any of the single players you have. Now from here, outside the lottery, so I'm not super big on any of these picks. I'm just going to talk about some of the big things that happened. Jared McCain going 16th to Philadelphia. They have like 3 players on the roster. They needed to get someone to get a guy with as much upside shooting potential, with just as much potential period as Jared McCain. Big fan of it. He's a shooter. He's a guy that'll come off your bench, take a lot of the load off Tyrese Maxey, and you literally just need players. So congrats. I'm a big fan of this pick. Dalton Knecht going to the Lakers at 17. Much better pick than I think you got last year. I think I think this was a really, really, really good pick for LA. Like, I'm not going to lie. I don't think LA could have picked anyone that I would have liked better in this spot. We have to talk about my Raptors. They got Jacoby Walter. This is one of those guys. I think he has a super low ceiling, but also like a super high floor. Like, he's going to be just one of those like mid-tier 3-and-D type guys, if you ask me. Or was he? Am I thinking of the right guy? I want to say he's a good, like, 3-and-D player. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's a pretty good 3-and-D player for, like, a wing guy. Now, I know he's not a great on-ball defender, but, like, the Raptors have some... Well, not really anymore. I don't know. The Raptors, I think they got one of the best guys available at 19. And just, like I said, wasn't a great draft. If there was ever a year to, like, trade your pick away, it would be this year. But I wish we would have had the pick from the Jakob Poeltl trade. But guess what? We did. So, that's great. Any other picks that I really, really care about? Oh, the Denver Nuggets getting Daron Holmes. I think that's a good pick. I think you just need centers. You need bigs. You need somebody that can back up Jokic, and you don't have that right now. I think that is a very good pick. The Bucks. You picked who? You picked A.J. Johnson? I couldn't believe this. I couldn't believe he went in the first round. Not just the first round. He went like 23? He didn't go 30th? Like, he went really in the first round? I couldn't believe that. Now, he's one of those guys that I've heard about, but I've heard about him in the second. Like, I don't know, man. I think the Bucks have a lot of questions to answer, and I think this is one of those. This is a question mark for me, but he could prove me wrong. I have no idea. Was there any other picks that I really, really cared about? I don't think so. I don't think so at all. Oh, no, there was. Minnesota, you also got Terrence Shannon Jr. I'm a fan of his. A good guy that can play like guard/wing to you. You already got Rob Dillingham. To get him at 27, I'm a fan of this pick. I watched some good Illinois basketball. I watched a good amount of Illinois basketball because they're in the Big Ten and I go to Penn State, and because I'm from Missouri. So I always am interested a little bit in what Illinois is doing because they're literally right next to me. So I think he's a good guard with some potential. He shows flashiness. He shows some things. Like, I think he's just maybe like a little bit. He's just a bigger / worse version of Rob Dillingham, if you ask me, because he's flashy. He's a guy with handles. He's got speed changes. Like, he's got one of those guys who got a quick first step. I'm a fan of his, and if I believe this is who it is. Congrats on beating that case, brother. Glad you beat it. And then anyone else? Oh, Isaiah Collier going to the Jazz. I think Isaiah Collier is a guy who his draft stock dropped because of the bad season at USC, but I'm still a big fan of his, to be real with you. I think he has a lot of potential. To get him at 29 when you're a team like the Jazz where you don't have any guards that you really, really trust, I'm a fan of that as well. There's no other picks in the first round I really cared about. I don't think there was anything else I really needed to talk about when it came to that. If I had to pick my favorite things from this draft from the first round, the Rob Dillingham trade if you're Minnesota, and Dalton Knecht to the Lakers. I'm not going to lie. I think those were the two best picks, or those were the two best things that happened in this draft. Just off the top of my head, the Reed Shepherd pick I think could end up being another one of those really like picks that we look back at as a really, really good pick at 3, but it depends if his potential is what people think it is, even though I don't. But it also depends on like what they package away to get Kevin Durant, if they're trying to get a guy like Kevin Durant, or if it's even possible. Yeah, we'll see. But interesting draft. I think this was a terrible draft class, but you know some of these guys will inevitably be studs. It's gonna happen. There's not gonna ever be a draft class where not a single person ends up being at least solid. So these guys, we'll see. You know, I'm excited for summer league starting in like 2 weeks, and we'll see the second round tomorrow. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Thank you for watching.